Good morning and welcome to the programme. It's our last day before the election. Are you fed up with all the election stuff? Let us know your thoughts, please. We were out on the streets in Dungarvan yesterday afternoon getting the thoughts of people, and we'll be playing some of that in a little while. 083 33 975. That's our text and WhatsApp number. Or you can call 051 846 123. We're going to be talking to Georgie Kniesel and Lisa Statham in a few minutes. I see them just coming in there now. We're going to be talking about the future of, I suppose, retailing in Waterford. Sad news and positive news at the same time. Jennifer Kavanagh is going to be coming in as well to talk about the election as it has been over the last 3 weeks. So let us know your thoughts on that. We're going to be talking to Barry Murphy later on about the canvassing yesterday, and our political panel's coming in. We've got some light-hearted stuff as well. Now, just before I came on air, he wasn't able to do it after 10 o'clock. I had a quick chat with Taoiseach Leo Varadkar. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, good morning.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
Not at all, thank you for joining us. Is it strange the day before the election, thinking about how many seats you might lose?
Well, also thinking about seats that we might hold on to, and I think we will hold on to our seat in Waterford, and also seats we might gain nearby, just up the road in Tipperary, for example. Look, it's been a really competitive election. It's turned into a three-horse race involving Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin. I don't think anyone predicted that at the start of the election, but no votes have been cast yet. I think the debate went well during the week, and obviously there's been lots of other things happening during the week that wouldn't be picked up in opinion polls. So
yes.
We're still confident that we can pull this off.
And what have you got to say about the front page of the Examiner this morning, saying Fine Gael's in full crisis mode as it's set to lose more than 15 seats, several senior ministries in jeopardy. Senior party figures have privately conceded to the Examiner the election will not go our way.
Yeah, an anonymous senior party figure that confides in the Irish Examiner but doesn't talk to me. So, that's how seriously I take those kind of stories, quite frankly. Look, nobody knows the outcome of this election yet. The people haven't voted. They will vote tomorrow. And I think we have a very strong message and a very good offering for the next 5 years if we're able to be part of the next government. And, we see today the rank hypocrisy of Fianna Fáil from page of the Independent. The other paper beside you there showing that Fianna Fáil, which has been saying that they won't go into coalition with Sinn Féin. Meanwhile, their Justice spokesperson, Jim O'Callaghan, has been representing Gerry Adams down the courts for the past 4 years. Which is pretty extraordinary. And Fianna Fáil TDs, including Mary Butler, saying that they're willing to go into coalition with Sinn Féin, are certainly not ruling it out. So, a vote for Fianna Fáil is a vote for a Fianna Fáil Sinn Féin coalition, which will set our country backwards, set our economy backwards, and that, I think, would be a disaster for Waterford, which needs 5 more years of economic growth.
And is it
investment in housing, needs investment in healthcare, and that's only possible with a good economy.
And is it a sign of how worried you are and how in crisis you are that you have been going hammer and tongs at Sinn Féin and scaremongering?
I don't think there's any scaremongering involved. I think it's a pretty serious fact that so many Fianna Fáil TDs are unwilling to rule out coalition with Sinn Féin, that their party justice spokesperson who criticises Sinn Féin with his politician hat on is representing Gerry Adams in the courts. I think it's a warning to the public. But very happy to talk if you want to about our positive message for the next 5 years and the kind of future that we want to build. Helping first-time buyers, making sure that people feel the strength of our economy in their pockets. Tax cuts for middle-income people, the only party that has a serious offering around that. The best plans around affordable childcare.
And if we were
to talk about the kind of things we can do for the next 5 years.
Yeah, and we could also talk about, obviously, the waiting lists. We could talk about the overcrowding. We could talk about the homeless figures. And we could talk about at 5 o'clock this evening that if you're in Dungarvan this evening and if you have a heart attack, God forbid, or I have a heart attack, we may as well get somebody to drop us down to Youghal Bridge and head down to Cork. It's not right.
Well, look, I think, as you know, for the vast majority of heart attacks, there is a 24/7 service in Waterford. And the physicians and the medical team there do a top-class job and get as good results as any other part of the country. There is a particular type of heart attack, and I know you know this as well as I do, called a STEMI. It's not the most common type of heart attack, which can only be treated in certain specialist centres. I'd be very happy for Waterford to become one of those specialist centres, but we need the national and international experts to say that is viable, and that hasn't happened as yet. yet. But what is happening on the positive side is the second cath lab has planning permission. That can now go to tender this year, be constructed, and staff it and commission it, and that will be an additional and significant improvement in cardiology services in Waterford. And as you know as well, the Dunmore wing is been commissioned too. And
it's still not fully open, and there's obviously issues regarding staffing and all that. But as
is always the case, a new wing has to be built and then has to be staffed and commissioned. But that's happening, and
I know. But it's you can understand, Taoiseach, the frustration with people about the delay and the time, and we're still talking about a second cath lab, and it's now 2020.
Do you know what, Damien? I can understand it better than you can even imagine, because these are the issues that I've been working on for years. And if I've any regrets about the last couple of years, is that it's only in the past 2 that we've had the money to invest in new housing and new infrastructure. It took us 5-6 years to get the country back on its feet, to get people working, public finances in order, to try out. And one of the first things we did once we had money again was to go ahead with things like the Dunmore wing in University Hospital Waterford, and the thoughts of going backwards again, the thoughts of Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin back in government or in government together, giving us another lost decade. This is why I will be canvassing until 10 p.m. tomorrow night.
And then, as you know, they would say that that's not going to happen. Can I ask you specifically on the North Quays? I was talking to John Cummins during the week. I was talking to outgoing Minister Halligan. Fine Gael have given a commitment for the North Quays. It's not a government commitment. It's not a commitment that's written down in the sense the Cabinet hasn't agreed this. It seems to be just up in the air.
There is a commitment from Fine Gael, and it's one that I'll stand over if re-elected to my office as Taoiseach. What's happening at official level, if you like, is there is ongoing talks between the commercial partner, the council, and 2 government departments, Department of Transport and Department of Housing, Planning and Local Government. I would have loved to have got that over the line, as you can imagine, before an election, just as we did get, for example, the funding over the line for Waterford Airport, for example. Wasn't possible to do that, and that will be something that the next government's going to have to pursue.
Okay.
It's a project that I believe in, and the other one that I really believe in, of course, is Technology University in the South East, and I do think 2020 will be the year that happens. But we run into issues that you'll be aware of that unfortunately are beyond the control of the government, but that'll be a game changer for the South East in my view. And New Ross bypass is open.
Yes.
I was delighted to be in the South East to do that only the other day.
I know you may give the answer to this, that the 2008 Labour Court recommendation for pension for community employment supervisors is not under the employment of the LCR as FOSS, as funders put the pension in place of supervisors. Can you not honour that 2008 recommendation?
I think that's a very fair question, but it's a question that I think could be asked to almost any politician, because this issue is going on for 12 years, and in those 12 years, Fianna Fáil, the Greens, Labour and Fine Gael have all been in government, so why hasn't it been done? Because...
But you've been in government for the last 10 years, 9 years, so why didn't you do it, Taoiseach?
Because it has... there are major problems with it. First of all, we're not the employer. As you know, everyone... including the CE supervisors, are entitled to the state pension like everyone else based on their PRSI contributions. But to get a public service pension, first of all, you have to be a public servant, and secondly, you have to have paid a public service pension levy throughout your working career. Okay. In the case of the CE supervisors, they've done neither. So if government were to concede to that, there are tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people who could make the same claim, and that could expose the taxpayer, including the taxpayers of Waterford, to an enormous bill that we can't even quantify at this stage. Just think of all the people who are not employees of the government, who have not paid into a public service pension, who work for a body that's funded by the government in some way, saying that they want a public pension too. The numbers are just enormous. Just think about it.
Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
I would have liked to have done a more extensive interview with the Taoiseach, but we had to go because he had to go before 10 o'clock, so that's just 8 minutes of an interview with him. A lot of texts coming in, people giving out about Fine Gael, people giving out about what he had to say, others saying that Leo has done a good job. Get Leo off the air, no 24/7, no cardiac care, mortuary, passing the book again. Other people saying that they need to be given more of a chance. Can you please read out all the text, says this person. We don't want WLR to become another RTE. There you go, Jennifer, now. Isn't that interesting? There you go. People talking about those that have knocked at the doors, and loads of politicians not knocking at people's doors, throwing in the leaflets and basically saying, sorry, I missed you, written on the leaflet. And they're people in the house. That's happened. I've heard that quite a bit, Jennifer, quite a bit. Jennifer Kavanagh, WAT Law Lecturer, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to talk about politics for a few minutes in a minute. Firstly, just to let you know, we had planned to do interviews with the main party leaders throughout this election. We asked Fianna Fáil to talk to us. Micheál Martin hasn't spoken to us. He hasn't come back to us. So just if people are wondering why we haven't had Micheál Martin on the air, we've given him ample opportunity to talk to us. A number of emails, lots of calls, and basically hasn't come on to us. So make of that what you will. Now, Jennifer Kavanagh is joining me, WAT Law Lecturer and regular contributor. You're going to be on RTE over the weekend. You're going to be on WLR this morning. And some breaking news. Philip Schofield has come out as gay. Now, there you go. First with the news in WLR.
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of people thought that, I think, in the first place, did they?
Yeah, but it's kind of disappointing that still people have to come out and say what way they are.
Yeah.
Because, nobody has to come out and make a formal declaration of their sexual orientation across the board.
Yeah.
So, just get on and leave people live their lives.
Do you love elections?
I absolutely do. I've always loved elections. I remember I think I was about 2, being really disappointed that Ronald Reagan got re-elected. But as a 2-year-old, how did I know whether this was a good or a bad thing? And sure, my father, when I used to go down to Irish College down in Ring, there was a local election on, and God bless him, he went on to Airtel and he took down all the numbers and all the transfers, got in the car and drove down to Ring to explain the whole thing to me. And the first time I ever got to London, my mother brought me straight to Emmeline Pankhurst's statue to say, this is why women need to vote. I was only 5.
So it's in your blood.
It is.
Would you run for election?
I wouldn't even run for a bus.
And do you respect people that put their name on a ballot paper?
Absolutely. For this general election has been really busy for me from the electoral law perspective, with the passing away of one of the candidates in Tipperary. And last night I was just so exhausted from just trying to keep on top of everything. I've no idea how candidates actually have the energy to keep going. Whether you like them, you loathe them, or you love them, they're putting themselves forward for the toughest job interview that there is in the state. So I have total respect for them putting themselves forward.
They eat a lot of fruit. I advise them to eat a lot of fruit, because fruit's a good way because if not, you'll snack on sugars late at night and you end up not sleeping.
With me it's Baraka and coffee, and if I start putting the Baraka into the coffee, that is just a cry for help.
How do you think it's gone? Are you surprised the last 3 weeks?
I was explaining to one of my colleagues, because everyone knew this election was coming. It's literally like getting on a flight from Dublin to New York. You've been waiting in pre-clearance for ages to get on the plane. We all knew the election was happening. We're over the Hamptons now, coming into JFK. We've had the little engine difficulties just from Tipperary, but we've managed to pass over that. And with the count, it's going to be a case of how long is it going to take? How long will it take for your baggage to come off the baggage belt? That's where we are now.
What do you think of people texting in saying people haven't called at their houses, like people in Avondale, a woman saying she's been living there since 1984, the first election, not one politician or canvasser knocked at the door? That's not good.
It's not good, but I know from the perspective of a lot of my friends and colleagues who have young kids, they would prefer if canvassers just did not come to their door, because they've got a child running around who's wriggled out mid-nappy change. They've another kid who's screaming for their dinner, and they're just trying to get everything done. Prior to social media, it was a much bigger thing for people to knock on the door and have the bit of a chat. But you've got social media now, you've got people doing online canvasses. If you want to find them to ask them a question, you can pick up the phone or send them an email. It's a totally different space that we're in now. And there's been so many debates even run locally where people can actually go up to the candidates and say, listen, you haven't come to the door, but I have a particular concern with this. Can we have a chat? That's the way it can work now.
I know some parties didn't call to people's doors after 7 o'clock because of the winter weather, and they expected people to be cosy up in front of the fire.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to be disturbing people. So there is this winter election thing, which has also affected maybe some of the candidates.
But sure, if it's a summer election, everyone's out having a barbecue. So there's always going to be some reason why knocking on the door isn't going to work. And as well as that, so many people are not involved in party politics anymore. So if you're a candidate who's trying to run a campaign, it's like every single voluntary organisation. You just don't have the people who have the time anymore. So people have to be available to knock on the doors for someone then to open the door from that candidate being there.
Are you good at predicting elections? Do you think the opinion polls, let's put it like this, okay, I'll ask it in this way. Do you think the opinion polls will be reflected in the outcome on Sunday?
Well, looking from the political science stuff, you could say that the Sinn Féin vote in the polls may be slightly overestimated. I have a certain suspicion as well that we're slightly turning into the Dutch people, because the Dutch people love trolling their poll people. So they will give them random answers, and whether that pans out at the end, it generally doesn't tend to translate across. So we're getting so used to polls being taken all over the place now. In fairness, I have never been asked my opinion for a political opinion poll. I actually don't know anyone who has.
Yeah, same here.
So you could make an argument over, are they representative? We've had a number of elections, say for example repeal, everyone thought it was going to be literally a Brexit type result on the yes side was much higher than anyone envisaged from either side. So you also had the thing with the presidential election where Peter Casey was polling so well, which didn't exactly translate 100%. So what I go on is the exit poll.
The exit poll, yeah, which coming out tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Do you think there's a sleeping vote there as well? Like if somebody is asked about whether they support Fine Gael, because of the perception out there that they haven't done a good job, they might say no. Whereas when they get into the ballot box,
into the privacy, into that
might
moment
themselves, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, they might well do it. So you would expect maybe Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael to come up slightly?
I would, because in the UK you've had what's known as the shy Tory vote, where people won't admit to saying that they're going to vote for the Conservatives, but then they actually do. So the way it works is that it's great for people to say what way they want to vote, but then once it comes to that moment, in the privacy of the ballot box with the pencil in hand, marking it through, that then a lot of people actually just think, right, who am I actually going to vote for now? And that's why I think the exit poll is far more reliable, because people will then admit what they've done as opposed to what they intend to do. So I think Waterford's going to be one of the most interesting constituencies, to be honest with you, because Halligan has retired, Deise has retired.
Body Coffee's not running.
Exactly. The only dead cert I think that there is in this constituency is that David Cullinane will be returned. Apart from that, it's all down to transfers, and somebody ringing you up from a polling company asking you who you're going to vote for isn't going to reflect, and who are you thinking of giving your second preference to, your third preference to. People don't even have the time to think of all that if they're being asked on the phone. And that's the beautiful thing about the Irish electoral system, the transfers. You just don't know what's going to happen from the transfers.
Do you think he'll get elected on the first count?
Considering that Mary Butler did get elected on the first count the last time out, I would say there is a very high chance. But it's also going to be interesting then to see who he transfers to, because the general theory is that Sinn Féin voters would transfer then to other left parties. Other people now are talking about, well, I'm going to vote in order of who I think is going to be eliminated first, just to get more miles out of their ballot. And that then skews the whole thing, because you would have a high number of votes for candidates that are going to be eliminated early, possibly. And then you have to see where they go. And look, Irish people can transfer all over the place. There really is no rhyme or reason. Sometimes you would see some quite interesting, shall we say, independent candidates, which would then transfer to a right-wing, more right-wing type of candidate, and then go straight back to the most left candidate that you can find. So it's just fascinating watching how all the votes move around as well.
Isn't it silly and strange and stupid, and yet the truth, that to get anything done in a particular area or county or constituency in Ireland, you effectively have to have a minister?
It's true, yeah.
Isn't that terrible? Isn't it terrible? Isn't it an awful indictment of the system?
It is, because the amount of people who will hark back to the time of Martin Cullen, and whether they liked Martin Cullen's politics or not, will say, but you're Martin Cullen, he's a great man, sure, he got us the road from Dublin. You know, and that is how it works. So a lot of people do look at the candidates and go, well, who's most likely to be a minister? Whether they agree with the party or not, they just want that voice of the cabinet.
And is that morally corrupt, morally wrong, that we have a system like that? Or is it just the way it is? Is it one of those Irish things, sure, it's just the way it is? Like, well, it's not like tilting at windmills over in Holland.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's morally bankrupt, but what I would say is it's the way the game works. And at the end of the day, politics is a bit of a game, even when you're looking at
and it shouldn't be, because if we have a heart attack, if we all those things.
I completely agree, but then bear in mind that no matter what party you're in, if you're strong, you can literally just corner the minister when he's having his lunch at the dog canteen and say, come here now, where's this cat lab gone? I want this cat lab. And it will just get to a stage where they will see you coming and they'll go, you're going to ask me about the cat lab, aren't you? And they just realise they will just get no peace. And I mean, that's something as well that the citizens can do as well. Because, look, Waterford people end up travelling to Dublin. We're always bumping into people. Just keep talking and whinging, because that's what Cork people are great at. They will not stop whinging, and they'll say, look, what do you need another bridge over the Lee? Will that keep you quiet? And that's the way they work in Cork.
So those that shout loudest? They
will get the cat labs. And that is just the way it works. That it can't be left up to the politicians as well. That they have a job to do with passing legislation. They have a job to do with representing the concerns as well. But the people who are on the ground need to start shouting as well, because then if they are, say, the backbencher in the government party, they can say, listen, I'm going to be slaughtered at the polls here if you don't do something about this. And that's what they need to do. So it's not just leaving it up to the politicians. It's like if there's a pothole in your road. Yes, you can ring the local councillor, but you can pick up the phone yourself to Waterford Council and you can say, I have a problem with my road. Who are you sending it on to? And follow it up. We all have free minutes now in our mobile phone plans anyway.
Okay. Now, what was I going to say to you? John Cummins and David Cullinal called to my door in Avondale, says this lady.
Hopefully not at the same time, that would get awkward.
Damien, you can't look someone in the eyes on Facebook. They don't call on doors because they don't want to talk to the public, says John and Lismore, and other people commenting on different things. Listen, Jennifer, thanks very much. Enjoy the next few days. And keep eating the fruit and taking the Barocca.
Thank you.
Now, welcome back to the programme. The Fianna Fáil press office have been on to us to say they didn't get a first email originally, and Micheál Martin has been on the show lots of time and would never refuse to do an interview, so that they are offering Dara Calleary this morning if we do want to do something with him. That's not a problem. We might talk to Dara later on this morning if we have time. Thank you, Fianna Fáil, for getting in touch with that. Now we have Georgie Kniesel. Good morning, Georgie.
Good morning, Damien.
And Lisa Statham.
Statham.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, Lisa. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from the UK, from London.
London? What part of London?
Well, just on the outskirts, a little place called
Say
Gavin.
it. Essex. She's from Essex.
Georgie has been dying to get that in. Yeah, I am an Essex girl in Waterford.
And how long are you here?
Well, originally I moved here with my husband Lee, who was my partner at the time, in 2002. We just come back from backpacking around Australia, but this time round we're back since 2014.
Okay.
And loving it.
And you've been working in Kniesels?
I have, back with the family, the second family.
For nearly 18 years on and off now, she worked under mum.
Yeah, that's when I started with Joni and Georgie way back then, and trained with Joni from the very beginning, and had my tutelage and my apprenticeship. And
are diamonds still a girl's best friend, Georgie?
Oh, we like to think so. Plenty of sparkle.
Tell me a little bit about this story. How long is Kniesels in Waterford?
68 years now. So
68
years. Yeah, my grandfather was a watchmaker from Dresden in Germany, and he came over initially and he was in Galway, and he was selling watch parts around Ireland, and he set up base here in Waterford. He always liked it. So originally they had their premises on Michael Street, and then they moved to what was the old Lido Cafe, for those who remember it, in John Roberts Square, which is the premises we're still in now. So my grandparents had it, and it went on to mum and dad, who were both qualified goldsmiths from Futsheim in Germany. And then I sort of took over the reins fully probably about 5 years ago, and mum semi-retired. But now it's time to fully retire. She's great. You know, it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster, but the time for us as a family is right. We also had a really good year last year. Business is good. We feel over Christmas especially like the town was booming. So we don't see a negative downturn really in retail in Waterford.
Yeah, we'll talk about that now in a second, because it is a positive story, as you say.
I think so.
Why are you getting out of the business?
Well, it's time for mum to retire fully, and I wasn't expecting this for me. And
don't get emotional.
No, I won't. And for me personally, I've always enjoyed the business. I went in initially when Dad was sick to help out, but and I've loved working with the girls and I love working in the city, but my path is going in a different direction. And it's sort of, I came into it and I really enjoyed being with everybody, but I want to go do other things. And, you know, you can tick along because it's comfortable and it's easy and we enjoy it, but we're making the break.
Is it a midlife crisis, is it?
Oh, maybe. Well, that's about to come, I'd say, after this.
No crisis. Yeah, not yet.
You're getting tattoos now in all different places, you know.
Well, the worst I'll be home now a little bit, so my husband, I was like, it'd be really nice. I get to spend like a whole day with my husband, which we obviously haven't done in so long. But I said, geez, after a day we'd probably be killing each other. He'd be sending me back in to help Lisa out.
It's a big decision to make.
It's huge.
Is it something that was suggested in your mind a couple of years ago? Did you let it lie there? Did you, like, was there a light bulb moment? What happened?
No, I don't think a light bulb moment. I think it was like a natural progression. Mum was going out more and more, and I think she should be fully retired now. I was doing more and more, and I've got young kids and I'd like to be spending more time with them. I'm more an outdoors person. I volunteer, coach hockey and that sort of thing, and we got dogs and ponies, and I think I'd like to be outdoors a bit more, or find something to do outdoors rather than be inside. So for me, that was the path it was going down.
Have you any specific plans at present?
Have I?
The big question.
The big question. I said, oh, Davey does that. Nothing particular just yet. I'm going to take a month and a little bit maybe longer
nosy,
and take it easy.
I'm awful nosy.
No, I'll take it easy for a little while, and obviously we have Activate, so I'm sure I'll be roped into working there in no time.
Every Saturday now, Georgie, for the next 6 months I'll have you in, don't worry.
Exactly.
So how is it going to work, Lisa? You're officially going to be taking over, is that it?
That's right, yeah. So on the 1st of March, that's a Sunday, so we'll have a couple of days to set up and bring all, obviously, our new stock through. But my husband will be joining me along with our team, Ali and Heather, and our goldsmith, Aaron. And yeah, the shop will be as it is and always was. We will have the same designers, the same suppliers, the same professional team. We will evolve the business over time, but that will be a process and progression that any business would do. But we are really conscious of the Kniesel legacy that is being left in our hands, and
your capable hands.
In our capable hands, absolutely. I'm ready for this. Lee's ready for this. Joni has trained me. I know I've learnt from the best, and yeah, it's a huge thing that she has instilled her trust in me, and it's not lost on me at all.
Will you be keeping the name?
The name is there. As businesses evolve, it is...
it might change, but at the moment you're going to keep it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of... Our aim at the moment is to get through the next few weeks for Joni and Georgie and enjoy this celebration, which it is for them, and then for us to get into the business and let our clients, have faith in Lee and I and the team that they already know, and then the business will go on as it is. But yeah, there's lots of questions that people have for us at the moment.
Well, we don't really know the answers ourselves yet, but
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about your most special moments over the years, Georgie. The best rings and the best surprises and somebody. Okay, hold that thought.
Okay.
Now you're laughing. Come on, tell us a few little stories, Georgie.
Okay. And you put me on the spot for that, but actually I have to say I have one about you, Damien, because Dad was telling me when I said this morning I was coming in, he said, I remember when Damien was going to propose, he came into the shop, I don't know if you remember this, so he came into the shop and you asked Dad and you selected a ring and you were going up to Dublin to propose to your girlfriend at the time, but you said you weren't going to pay for it just yet, you would go up and you propose, and if she said yes you'd come back and pay him for it, and if not you were going to drop the ring back.
That's not an option for a future.
That's not an option for a future, yeah.
So there's just so many lovely stories in that it's a very emotional thing, jewellery, and people, you'd always, when they come in, they buy an item, there's always a story around the item, and you usually get to hear it, whether it's been a death or a birth or a sick family member. We get loads of people come in and they end up in tears, and the shop's often quiet, and I suppose hairdressers probably get it and that sort of thing as well, but you hear the whole stories about people, and I'll always be grateful for all those stories, and it's definitely given me faith in humanity again, in that people are so kind to each other and so loving to each other and generous, because a lot of people wouldn't have the money and they would come in and pay in on items for a long time and save up to give somebody something for them that is very sentimental and that they might wear for the rest of their lives.
It's not a normal purchase, is it?
It's not.
Whatever with online and that, but jewellery is so sentimental, and from the giver and the receiver, it's something they keep, and it's an heirloom then going forwards, and a memory that they have, and that we're part of that is really special. And hearing all the stories at the moment on Facebook, it's unreal, isn't it?
Oh,
like whatever's
brilliant.
going on with us at the moment.
Yeah.
To hear that, it's on a wider level, is really heartwarming, and
like
we're reading every message.
Oh, absolutely. Like ear piercing years ago, my grandfather used to do it. I do it now, but my grandfather used to do it up on the second floor. But it was done with the cork and the pin. But people used to pass out and everything. So I'd have grandparents coming with their grandchildren to do, and they'd be going, "Oh, how's it going to?" And I'm like, I'd say, it's not that big a deal anymore. And they were like, "Well, I passed out on your grandfather's floor up here 40 years ago." So plenty of stories coming in now, and lovely to hear them. And like Lisa said, it's more like celebration that Mum gets to hear all these lovely stories, what she's done for the last 45 years of her life, and that she's had such an impact on so many people.
Lisa, you concur?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh gosh, yes, whatever she said. No, for sure. For us to have such a good Christmas as well, the buzz for Joni, and now that this is happening, that memory, the Waterford was alive this Christmas. The shop local, people really have that in their mind's eye at the moment, and we felt it. And there's some lovely little shops in Waterford, Finders Keepers and Bayveen, all opening up. And that's only through people being more conscious of shop local that will continue and thrive. So I think it's good times ahead for Waterford. We're doing this otherwise.
In every town, in every village, every city, people will give out about the retail offering at certain stages, and you will get whingers. You'll also get people that are not whingers, that are just saying it would be great if there was more there. Then you get people that say, yeah, it's great, it's not bad. So there's this balance of glass half full. Yeah. But how do you see retailing in Waterford at present?
I think it's evolving, and like anywhere, it's evolving. At the moment, I know you can't be blinded to what's going on. There are a lot of empty shops in Waterford at the moment, but you have to park that. And Lee and I certainly have. We believe in this business, and we believe in Waterford, and we're totally invested in it. And I think that the green shoots will come through with the shop local. Not that you can rely on that. You have to give a reason for people to shop local, and you have to, give them that service and customer service and products. But it's happening. I can see it. I just think there's a really good feel on its way with the new shops that are opening. So it is a mixed bag, but I think it's going to improve 100%.
You've seen a lot of ups and downs over the years, Georgie, in terms of like 10 years ago. 2 recessions. How do you rate it now?
Now, well, personally for us, we've had a really good 8 months. So I'd say better, definitely a huge upturn compared to the last 10 years. So that's been really good for us. There's a lot of shops closed, as you know, and I think 3 local businesses closed down in the last 2 months, which is awful to see. So for us, it's a huge comfort to know that Lisa and Lee are taking over and we're not actually shutting our doors. I think that would have been
very important,
very emotional and difficult, especially for Mum if we'd had to shut the doors completely. So, and it's great that they are going to invest and they're positive about it. I think, people can moan about the city, but unless they come in and support it, if they buy things in Dublin or buy something in the airport, even if it's only something small, like it's not particularly going anywhere. Whereas if they buy it in Waterford, even if it's only a Swatch watch for €80, the money's still coming back into Waterford. And I think people have to be a little more aware of that. But apart from that, I can't, I can just say that, people have always supported us, and I really hope that they go on to support Lisa and Lee.
Me too. I think all we can really ask of people is if they try the city first, if they give us an opportunity before they buy online or go up to Dublin, because I know for sure that we are as good as any boutique or exclusive jewellers in Dublin, for sure. And if we haven't got something, or if I haven't got it, the girls haven't got it in stock, we'll get it. It's a bespoke service that we offer. So try us first. I know Dublin and the Bright Lights have a lot to offer, but we're here and we have been for 68 years and hopefully another 68 more.
You're excited anyway?
Yeah, a little bit. We are now, and I think maybe we see sort of light at the end of the tunnel. We have another 3 weeks. So this week we are actually having a sale next weekend. A big one, a big celebratory sale. Joni's, the sale, Joni's retirement sale. So that's going to be a big one. And that is next Thursday, Friday, Saturday over Valentine's weekend. So it's a good time. And then we have sort of 2 weeks wind down before Lisa takes over. So exciting times for us personally as a family, and we're delighted that it's going to another local family, and hopefully the business will be as good to Lisa and Lee as it has been to us over the years.
Can you remember the most expensive thing you ever sold?
Oh, Damien, you can't ask stuff like that, can you?
It's like the confessional. We can never ever say.
Nobody's listening, come on.
Nobody's listening. Dad had a ring for about 45,000 probably at one stage, which is always good. God, if you could have one of those a year, you'd be doing great.
An engagement ring, was it?
It was an engagement ring, yeah. So he would have sourced, I know.
And that's obviously 20 years ago maybe, or does it?
Yeah, it would have been about 24, 25 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you know, is the person still
wearing it? Oh, I see them regularly. No, I can't say. Yeah. That's one thing. We definitely have to be discreet. We definitely have to be discreet in the business.
There's some lovely texts coming in to wish you the very, very best. Mary Murphy has texted and say, I've been going to Kniesels for years. My girls have expensive taste. Best of luck to her from Mary Murphy. And also the very best of luck to Lisa. People wishing you the very best. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Good luck.
Thank you, Damien.
Genuinely, Georgie, I mean that. And I hope everything works out. And say hello to all the family for us. Lisa, good luck to you and Lee, and to everybody, all the staff there, and all the customers. Continue
much.
Going, and to all the customers. And we spoke to John Martin Jewellers before, and people have such affinities with jewellers, and it's, as you say, it's a memory. Making memories. That cliche. It is really a making memories place. So
people have been so loyal and supportive of us over all the years. We can't thank people enough.
Long may it continue. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you, Damien.
No, that wasn't too bad, was it? Now, welcome back to the programme. Gavin is going to be joining me in a second to talk about sports. Damien, good morning. My late husband and I got our engagement rings at Kniesels. It was wonderful. This would be 21 years ago next month. We were brought upstairs. Mr. Kniesel was so lovely. We always celebrated that day as well as our wedding. And thank you very much for that text. Other people texting in, wishing them the very best. Damien, regarding the CE supervisors, I'm very cross. CE supervisors on low to medium wages, no pay rise in 12 years and retiring with 20 to 30 years commitment to communities. And to hear Leo dismiss the claim is not right. Thank you for covering this, says John. As he said, John, the argument from the government is that they are not the employers. So that's the one that now it was a Labour Court recommendation. So we'll have to see what happens to that. Damien, a number of politicians did come to my door, and not all canvassers called to the doors. Gavin Whelan, good morning.
Morning, Damien. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Lots on this weekend for sports. Firstly, the rugby, I suppose, is what a lot of people will be interested in. Ireland playing Wales. They had a tepid performance against Scotland. Who goes into this match as favourites?
Yeah, well, you'd have to say maybe looking at the level of performance last weekend that Wales will probably enter as favourites. Now I know the level of opposition in Italy was very poor, but 42 points to nil, you couldn't but be impressed by their level of performance and their attitude and their application and things like that. But look, Ireland potentially as well. Scotland have been a bit of a bogey team over the years, so I think the win was important. Under new coach Andy Farrell, new things have been tried, and tactics and all that. Johnny Sexton obviously got all of Ireland's points. That was kind of a bit of a worry, but look, they got the victory, they eked it out, and sometimes getting that win is important, and the home fans will be confident tomorrow. It's at the Aviva, so it's a home game for Ireland. It's going to be a great occasion, 2:15 tomorrow afternoon. So you'd have to say maybe Wales, they never fear coming to Ireland. It's a big game for both teams. If you could get points on the board tomorrow going into the England game in round 3, it'd be absolutely huge, because it's set up that Ireland, they've had a difficult enough start with Scotland, Wales, then England, then you play Italy in round 4, and you finish then with a tie against France in Paris. That's later on in March, so it could be set up to be a frantic finale following England's defeat as well last weekend. So it's really kind of open up. This could be a potential, Grand Slam decider tomorrow. Maybe it's too early to be saying that, but it could be potentially that.
We've got good interest in the under-20s.
We have indeed, yeah. Tonight 7:15 up there in Irish Independent Park in Cork. Thomas Ahern, of course, of Ardmore starts once again in the number 5. He put in a sterling performance last weekend. Really kind of took the game to the opposition. Great, technique, and obviously finished off with a try as well. So I know there's a pretty rapturous crowd from Ardmore. Nicky Keaton and Deise heading up there tonight, so proud Ardmore man. Obviously he had a stint with Dungarvan and indeed Waterpark as well, so he's kind of gone up through the ranks. Real kind of good sign of a guy who was really, really focused. He played a bit of underage football with ourselves a couple of years ago there at under 17 level. He's so tall, he was a great fielder of the ball, but obviously loves the rugby and is really thriving at that now, so hope all goes well for him tonight. So that's live on the telly as well tonight, 7:15 in Cork. So yeah, we wish Thomas and his Irish colleagues the best of luck. Obviously they made a winning start as well last weekend, so hopefully make it 2 out of 2.
We'd like to see a lot of people support the Waterford footballers, the senior football team.
Yes, we would indeed. I'm sure Benji and his colleagues will certainly echo that. It's the footballers' turn this weekend for the third successive weekend they play. Of course, there's a bye for all the hurling teams this weekend, so it's a football weekend. Wexford roll into town tomorrow night at 7 o'clock under the Fairfield floodlights, so promises to be a big occasion. It's a vital game now, I suppose, for Waterford, considering they've lost the first two to Limerick and Wicklow, so promotion at this stage is going to be really, really difficult. But if you could get a win tomorrow night, then it would really kind of kickstart the campaign. You go into the break then and you can get guys, you know, back in tune. And I know they've a couple of little niggles going into this one. Michael Curry picked up a nasty injury with concussion last week above in Auckram there. I don't know what Wicklow were at off the ball that he got. I don't know what kind of tactics he have up there, but hopefully he's recovering well. I know with the concussion now, obviously it does take 3 or 4 weeks, you know, so he's been monitored. Sean Donovan, I think, has a bit of a hamstring tweak there as well. So look, it's a home game for Waterford, and you know what I mean, sometimes when you're down the dumps and you're not going well in Division 4, it's that bit of home support that can kind of drive you on. So putting out an appeal to everyone to, you know, get out, and surely everyone will have voted by 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, so get out to Fairfield and show a bit of support for the boys, you know. Wexford obviously coming down with Paul Galvin. You know, he's added a great level of, I suppose, you know, he's dropped a few big names up there in Wexford, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of system they play as well. They beat Carlow last weekend. Wexford have 2 points. If Waterford could get onto 2, it would be huge going into the Sligo game when they play away then in a couple of weeks' time. So I know we've alluded to it every division. It's such a tight division to get out of. You know, we talk about Division 1 and 2 being tight, but they are playing teams of a similar level, so, and the turnover of players they've suffered, so people have to realise that you know, they're a new team, they're learning the whole time, they're putting in a massive effort. I know they worked hard during the week, so I just hope things go well for them tomorrow night. So if you're not at anything, 7 o'clock in Fairfield, we will keep you updated here on WLR over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of football on over the weekend as well, a lot of junior league soccer, a lot of schoolboy and school girls soccer and leagues.
Hopefully the weather won't affect that now, so we'll keep, I know there's a lot of rain coming in there maybe, so it'll be interesting to see how that
if matches go ahead
out,
or not,
with storms and that, you know. But we'll keep you posted. Just on the Waterford FC as well, Damien, a couple of great signings during the week. We're going to be hearing from Graham Cummins on our On The Ball show tomorrow. There he was speaking to Matt during the week, and he talks about his time in Britain as well, and you know, coming back to Waterford as well. Obviously they're building up for the Electricity League campaign, which begins this time next week. Richmond Park bound, of course, for the Blues, who take on St Patrick's Athletic. We'll be bringing you all the Waterford FC away games once again this year, thanks to Clem Jacob Hire. So looking forward to hopping in with Matt for the trip to Dublin next week.
And well done to Clem for coming back on board again.
Like, you know what I mean? It's brilliant, you know what I mean?
I know the Blues Supporters Club as well have been reinvigorated, and they're organising
season
buses.
Tickets, and get on that as well. Like, because they are seen on Friday night. You know, you've seen it yourself.
Going to Youghal tonight.
Absolutely, there is the All FC grounds to Cove Ramblers, and I know I was chatting to Liam Welch there in Boston Barbers. I'll give him a cut to hair for me there yesterday, as you can see, Damien. So his own young fella Darryl is lining out for Cove tonight. He's up there on loan for the season there. So you know,
I wish him the best. I met Liam last night, and I hope the young lad does have a good season.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, well, I suppose it's regular game for him too, isn't it? And you know, he's a really talented player. He's suffered a lot with injuries in the last couple of years. A really talented guy, good attitude, and you know, really puts himself about. So it's going to be a big occasion. I know Liam and the family are all heading up there tonight, so we wish him well. Obviously we're hoping for a Waterford win, but we'll be keeping an eye on Darryl's progress as well. So yeah, hard to believe the league is just a week away. You know, the 14th of February it all kicks off, and Waterford have Rovers and Bows as well in the first 3 games, then they go to Sligo as well on the Saturday. So it's not going to be an easy start, you know.
No, it's not going to be easy. How do you rate the squad as it is now compared to, we'd say, previous seasons?
Yeah, well look, I suppose it's hard to know. Look, he's still working really hard behind the scenes. They've brought in a couple of players during the week. I know Sam Bowen has re-signed as well, and you know, so there is a couple of, you know, maybe you'll be, I suppose, look, it'll have to happen in the first couple of games, so you'll decide what way they're kind of stepping up. Obviously they've lost Kenny Brown and central defender as well. What a phenomenal loss he's going to be, like, you know what I mean? But I suppose, look, you'll have to just wait and see the first couple of games. There'll probably be a few more signings before the start of the season next weekend, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. You know, you want to kind of maybe start well. I think it's a crucial game. You know, you play each other 4 times, twice home, twice. A long season, you know, it's a long year. So, but you kind of have to get points on the board early, and I'm sure Waterford will be hoping to cement themselves as kind of a mid-table team. You've obviously Shelburne are back up in the top flight this year. Rovers are going to be very strong. Dundalk, we all know what, you know, phenomenal squad they have. Cork City, I'm sure with Neil Fenn back in charge this year, I'm sure they'll be reinvigorated. I know they've made a lot of signings as well. So, and then you've teams like you know, I suppose, you know, Waterford and Cork, and these teams will be feeling they can maybe make a breakthrough. Shelburne, even, you know, back in the first division or top flight this year, they'll be keen to make an impact as well, so looking forward to it as well, you know. On
Any
the
other sports you want to mention?
the basketball front as well, Damien, just to wish the Waterford Wildcats the best of luck. They head west to take on Marie of Galway tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. They have a lengthy enough trip there. They lost to Killester last weekend, but we'll be hoping to get the campaign back on track. Marie of Galway are second in the league table there tonight for tomorrow night. So yeah, 5 o'clock tip off up there. We wish them well. There's loads of racing action as well tomorrow. We'll also be hearing from Michael Brick Welch on tomorrow's show. He was chatting to Oisin Langan during the course of the week at the launch of the Fitzgibbon Cup semi-finals, which are on this weekend. He talks about his own career in the Fitzgibbon and looks back at, I suppose, his own glittering inter-county career, the 76 appearances, which hasn't been broken, phenomenal record. Talks about him being a supporter this year and going, looking in from the outside, but he's moderate enough. First interview now, I'd say he's done in a while, but he's not bad at him now when he gets going. In fairness to Rick, so I know he's involved with the club there. He's doing a bit of underage coaching, and you have the couple of kids there as well to look after. So he won't be bored, as they say. So it's nice to hear from him looking back at his glittering career as well. Can I just give a shout out as well? I know the big night in the Park Hotel tonight for the Medeligo GA and Camogie club. So I'm seeing that event later on there. So looking forward to that. Thanks to the lads for the invite. So hope all goes well tonight.
Have an early night now.
Exactly. I could have said the same for yourself last night, but we won't say any more on that.
Gavin, thanks very much.
Thanks, Damien.
Text in from Lindsay from In the Doghouse. I was on with you a few weeks ago regarding a dog rescue. Well, today I'm asking for help as well. I know you have a large fan base listening. I'm devastated. Our pet cat Kruger has gone missing since Wednesday morning from the Summerhill area of Waterford City. I don't believe he wandered off intentionally, as he never went further within calling distance before. He's neutered and microchipped and was seen last Wednesday wearing a tiger striped collar, but could easily have lost that. He's pure black in colour, overtly friendly and confident for a cat. He's a habit of jumping into open doors of parked cars. I'm afraid he may have been taken away unintentionally. Lots of people working in the city park on our street in Springfield, Summerhill area near the tax office. He could be somewhere now. I'm heartbroken about this. My whole family, including our 3 dogs and our little boy, keeps asking when Kruger is coming home. Would it be possible to give it a mention? I'm worried sick. That's from Lindsay from In the Doghouse. So if you know anything about Kruger, of the cat, please let us know about that. There's a family that are really upset about that. A caller from Sanar Bland says he only had one canvasser knock at the door. The rest have just dropped leaflets. Not good enough. A texter, Damien, I still haven't received my polling cards. What happens? Can I still vote? Yes, you more than likely can. Obviously, you have to be on the register. So bring along some identification with you to the polling booth and the polling station. A driver's licence or a passport, photographic ID. And if you're on the register, you will be able to vote. So you don't need your polling card to vote, but certainly it would help. Now, joining us for the news at 11 is Liz.